Now, Errol, how are you, passing the time? I mean, can you give us an idea? I mean, I'm sure I've never seen you out of shape in my life over the past, 8, 9 years of knowing you. But, how are you maintaining, staying in shape and things along those lines?
I still been running. I go to my coach house and we work the mitts and things like that. Just me and him one-on-one. And basically just running and sitting at home watching a lot of TV, dieting, playing with my kids. They're not in school right now, so I'm teaching them different things and, learning their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's been a good time just hanging out with them. But, I'm ready to get back in the swing of things and get some fights under my belt and get back in it.
Errol, let's talk about, how your body's feeling since the accident in October, a very, a scary time for you and also a lot of fight fans around the world were very concerned about your well-being. How are you feeling physically since the accident in October?
I've been feeling great. I been to a Cleveland clinic after the Deontay Wilder fight and went there and they, evaluated me and checked me out, my brain and my, basically everything, my whole body, and they say everything's been good, and I'm recovering well. And I think I'm fully recovered now, and they feel like I'm fully recovered. So I'm gonna go back and after this all over with, and get checked out by them again, and hopefully I can fight in September, October, or whenever this current event is over with the coronavirus.
Okay, so now getting back to your accident, what did you learn from that entire traumatic experience? Because when you go through something that traumatic and obviously physically, mentally on your body, how have you responded in terms of what you've learned since then?
That whole accident, put my boxing career in perspective and, put my family in perspective. And, basically everything. And, I'm taking it a lot serious now as far as training, dieting, making sure I don't blow up too heavy and weight and things like that. So, it basically put everything in perspective. I got a second chance at, basically at living, spending time with my family and my kids and everything like that. So, I ain't have anything set up for them. If I would have, passed away, God forbid, anything would have happened to me, I didn't have anything set up for them and things like that. So I made sure, I had get everything set up with them and, basically take everything more serious than it is now. And, now I'm 100% and, fully focused on boxing and family.
What is it like? Because I have watched your progression from being an Olympian in 2012, being a young, hungry contender, calling out everybody under the sun. Now you are the one who is hunted. How has that change been when it comes to mentality-wise on your end?
Mentality-wise, it ain't changed. You can't hunt the hunter. So those same guys, I've been calling out, if they want to fight and we're going to fight, then it's going to happen, then we're going to fight, like I said before. Those guys are calling me out, but I'm not shying away from Danny Garcia. I'm not shying away from Keith Thurman. I'm not shying away from Terence Crawford. I'm not shying away from Shawn Porter. Me and Al had discussions all the time, and I tell them, I really want to fight. The guys that I've been wanting to fight, I want to fight. So, hopefully, I'll fight Danny Garcia this year, next year, Pacquiao, maybe Keith Thurman, I don't know. Probably not. I don't really care about him anymore because he didn't give me an opportunity when I wanted it, so I don't care about fighting him.
So you hold 2 belts within the sanctioning bodies, the WBC and the IBF. The WBC has come out and stated that Danny Garcia is your #1 mandatory. Is that a fight that you want? I mean, does that seem like that is next for Errol Spence Jr.?
It's a fight that makes sense. Danny Garcia, he's a very, tough fighter. He's a guy who's accomplished a lot in the sport of boxing. That's a fight that really makes sense. So, it's a fight that can definitely happen next.
Well, also, let's talk about another welterweight, a legend, an 8-division world champion in Manny Pacquiao. I know that you were in Las Vegas with the rest of us when he fought and defeated Keith Thurman. What is your take on Manny Pacquiao and if a fight with him could be in your future?
mean, Manny Pacquiao looked great against Keith Thurman. I didn't think he was gonna look that good. I didn't think he was gonna look like that. But man, he looked great against him. You know, it looked like the Manny Pacquiao of old. Well, not really the Manny Pacquiao of old, but it looked like a shade to him. So, I mean, I feel like I would love to fight Manny Pacquiao. He's a future legend. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a guy that I would love to fight. I mean, he has the belt too. I would love to get that belt because my goal is to be undisputed welterweight champion of the world. So I would have to fight him to get one of those belts unless he vacated or something like that. So, or somebody else beats him. So, I mean, that's a fight that I would love to have.
Well, let's talk about Terence Crawford because we saw a wonderful promotion with Premier Boxing Champions and also a top-ranked TGB Promotions as well when they worked on the second Wilder Fury fight. It seemed like Fox and also ESPN, the networks got along. Everyone was working very hard together. How big of a step was that promotion to doing so well and both entities working together to open up the door for you and Terence Crawford to fight?
It's big. I mean, you know, it just has to make sense. Just like Pacquiao and Floyd. I mean, it just has to make sense. It got to be, you know, all the money in the pot, and you know, everybody get their fair share. So as long as it makes sense money wise, and you know, it's big enough, I think the fight will happen.
So Terence Crawford came out in an interview a few weeks ago, Errol, and he said that, yes, the money has to be right and it has to make sense for everyone. What was your interpretation of Terence Crawford's comments when he talked about the money in that regard? I mean, because looking at you and Crawford, you're two of the best welterweights, you know, arguably in the world. And I think the fighting public, the sports public would love to see that matchup.
Definitely. I mean, he's telling the truth. I mean, you know, you got to pay us our worth. Because me and Terence, we're going to get in there and try to kill each other. So, I mean, you got to pay us our worth. And, you know, as long as the money's there, the money's in the pot, and it makes sense, it's definitely going to happen. I mean, I did talk to Al about the fight before. We had numerous discussions about it. And, you know, he said the same thing. You know, when it makes sense, it's going to happen. So, you know, hopefully it can happen next year. And, you know, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to fight Terence Crawford. A lot of his fans and people from Omaha and, you know, just, you know, a lot of his fans saying that I'm ducking them. You know, that's not the case at all. I had FaceTime Terence Crawford before anyway. We did FaceTime probably a couple months ago. You know, I talked about the fight and things like that. So, you know, definitely no ducking in our situation at all. I'm not the type of guy that's going to duck anybody. So, I mean, it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen.
Are you guys friends with or friendly with each other, Errol, or is this more of a mutual respect between two prize fighters that want to prove that they are the best in the world?
It's more of a mutual respect. You know, I feel like, you know, Terence Crawford, you know, is really himself. You know, a lot of guys, I just, you know, I really don't like them because I feel like they fake. You know, like I feel like Keith Thurman get fake, so I couldn't call him, have a discussion with him because I feel like he's just a fake dude. You know, I feel like sometimes Shawn Porter, you know, he just be talking out the side of his mouth, and you know, it's a lot of guys, but like guys like Pacquiao and guys like Terence Crawford, you know, I feel like, you know, they're real dudes. You know, Danny Garcia, I feel like, you know, he's a genuine guy too. I done talked to him before and things like that. So, you know, I just feel like we just a mutual respect between us two.
Where would you see in terms of, you know, you're a student of the game, Errol. How do you see a fight like you and Crawford playing out? Could it be, you know, we hear about the classics in the 80s when everyone fought everybody. Do you think it could go back to those old school ways when we saw those guys in the 80s just battling against one another and, you know, topping each other and having these massive events?
Yeah, I feel like that's a classic fight. I feel like, you know, that's a legacy defining fight. You know, I just feel like, you know, I think they had on YouTube Legendary Nights on YouTube when they do like a documentary of Hagler and Hearns, or, you know, Ray Leonard and Hearns, or Ray Leonard and Hagler and things like that. So, and I feel like that's just a legendary fight, a fight that, you know, people talk about, you know, for a long time. You know, I just feel like, you know, and a lot of young boxers and things like that would definitely, watch that fight and remember that fight, because I feel like we both had the skill set, we both had a talent, we both had a will, but at the same time, in the day, I feel like I watched Terence Crawford.
You think you'll wash him?
Yeah, I feel like I beat him. I'll punish him.
Would you be looking for a stoppage then, Errol? Is that what you're telling me, that you'd stop him? Or would you rather beat him up for 12 rounds?
Nah, definitely. If that guy, if the Russian dude, whoever he fought, could knock him down or to drop him, I definitely have a great chance of stopping him. I think he's been hurt by Gamboa too, so I definitely have a great chance of stopping him. But I respect his skill set. He got good skills, but I think I definitely stop him, especially how focused I am right now. Because usually even the Shawn Porter fight, I was blowing up to like Shawn Porter and the Mike Garcia fight. Matter of fact, the Mike Garcia fight, the day of the weigh-ins, I had to sit in a sauna for like 2 hours. I didn't sweat.
Really?
And I had a sauna bag on and everything, and I didn't sweat till like probably an hour to being in the sauna, and I didn't sweat at all. Even the Shawn Porter fight, like I had blown up to like 190 or something like that, and then had to lose it all, then killing myself to make weight.
Errol, how long do you see yourself here at 147? I know that you want to clean out the division. You want to be the undisputed unified welterweight champion of the world. But do you think that going up in weight to 154, possibly even 160, is in your future? You're 30 years of age now. How long do you want to remain here at 147?
Till I finish my goal, and then my goal is to become undisputed welterweight champion of the world. So when I become undisputed, I definitely move up. But until then, I'll be standing at 147. I don't care if I got to cut a leg off.
You've been, your advisor is Al Heyman. Al Heyman is the brains behind Premier Boxing Champions. They just turned 5 years old back a month ago. Can you tell us about what PBC has meant to you? And you've been one of the cornerstones of what PBC is all about, and introducing it to the masses, and fighting on network television, and now transitioning into being a pay-per-view fighter.
PBC meant a lot to me. I mean, just fighting on Fox and the exposure I was getting, like the exposure I was getting as 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. I mean, PBC, did that with Showtime, and fighting on Showtime, now fighting on Fox, and just the exposure. Like every fight was on TV. Every fight was on TV. Even if I had a swing bout, which was like 1 or 2 times, for some reason.
You were in there.
yeah, I was on TV. So PBC done a lot for my career, just give me that exposure and give me fights, and even if somebody didn't make weight or something like that, they got me another opponent where I didn't have to be like, oh, I'm not fighting this fight. I'll fight in 2 more weeks and things like that, and I make weight for no reason. So, I mean, just as development stage, and even right now, they done a lot for me. Even Al, he has done a lot for me, especially with with money wise, and save my money and put my money in different investments and stuff like that. Al's not only just just a boxing manager. He want to make sure that everybody's good, and you're good. When you retire from boxing, or when you want to retire from boxing, he doesn't wait to that point. He was talking about me retiring from boxing when I first started. When I was like 22 years old, he was like, we gonna start talking about retirement. I'm like, what is he talking about, retirement? Like I haven't fought pro yet. He talking about retirement. But as I see it now, being 30 years old, he helped out a lot in my career, and made sure I was smart with my finances and stuff like that. So now he made sure that if I wanted to retire now, I could. So I'm just grateful for being in that whole stable with Al and the other fighters, and PBC and things like that. It's a blessing.
And finally, Errol, what do you want to tell all your fans that are watching all over the world as we continue to deal with this horrific pandemic of the coronavirus? And hopefully we see you back inside the ring and boxing is back. Because, man, I tell you, I miss it a whole heck of a lot, man. I miss being ringside calling fights like yours and all the top quality world-class prize fighters around the world.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of YouTube fights recently, and that's something I got away from, because before I used to watch YouTube fights all the time. I used to study YouTube fights religiously, and that's something I got away from. So that's something I'm getting back to now, and just studying different fighters and stuff like that. But I want to tell everybody, during this time, just to stay in the house, stay away from people as much as you can. Stay close to your loved ones, speak to your loved ones. Especially, your close family, like mother and father and grandparents, stuff like that. And just praying for everybody, and hopefully, we get through this tough time and get back to, sports, because I'm bored watching all these documentaries and stuff like that. So, just everybody stay safe, man. Stay gloved up and, keep the mask on and, just keep praying for everybody. That's all we can do.
Hey, Errol, thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to see you back inside the ring. I hope your family, I know your grandmother in New York, all your family in New York, hopefully they are safe and sound. And we look forward to seeing you back at the fights and inside the ring before another Errol Spence fight as you defend your welterweight championship of the world.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
For all the best boxing content, follow PBC on Fox on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you for watching. Well, if you enjoyed that clip, make sure you click somewhere around here and subscribe. From fight highlights to exclusive interviews, we have got everything you need as a boxing fan right here on PBC on Fox.